Forspoken is the upcoming game released by Square Enix and Luminous Productions. It is said that it has a huge magical system and a huge open-world review. We're also incredibly excited about one of the first major Unreal Engine 5 feature demos. Originally called Project Athia, fans have been eagerly awaiting more information on how the game's systems will work, especially since we've seen the main character display incredible power. So without further ado, here's everything you need to know about Forspoken, including release date, gameplay, story, soundtrack, background, and more. Forspoken release date. The preface will be available in less than 2 weeks. After several delays, we can finally launch Luminous Productions' second game after Final Fantasy XV in 2016. The preview has been moved from October 11th to January 24th due to ongoing discussions with key partners. This strategic decision was made as Poland developed in its final phase. Square Enix and Luminous Productions announced the news via an official tweet from the game's Twitter account, thanking fans for their support and patience. Forspoken was originally scheduled to launch on May 24th, but the development team moved it to October 11th to finish polishing the game. Codenamed Project Athia, the trailer announced at PlayStation Future of Games last year gave us a vague glimpse of its gameplay and world. In March 2021, the game received its final title of Forspoken. Delving deeper into the story, the prequel is being developed by Luminous Productions, a subsidiary of Square Enix. The team worked on Final Fantasy XV before forming their own team for the original game. The team was originally founded by Final Fantasy XV director Tsutomu Tabata shortly before he left the team to pursue his own game development. Square Enix has already launched Babylon Has Fallen, Triangle Tactics, Chocobo GP and Stranger from Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins this year, so the delay probably shouldn't be too surprising, and hopefully it will lead to a smooth October launch. We'll likely see more Forspoken footage in this month's summer games. Forspoken game. Forspoken strives to give players the tools to explore the open world through an extensive magic system and the ability to navigate the environment effortlessly. Director Takeshi Aramaki claims the game uses fluid motion, which Square Enix describes as a narrative-driven adventure. The recent Prophecy trailer gave us a little more insight into what to expect from the story, as well as some gameplay worth analyzing. We see our hero Frey Hollander running around the arena as the dragon attacks her. She also captures several flying monsters in a water globe, sets up magic-filled explosive traps, summons a flaming sword to attack enemies, turns enemies into ice and floats between building tops, and summons a moving platform to temporarily lift herself up, or even pull herself to ties to clear the gaps. She can even fire magical projectiles from her wrist like a machine gun. With Final Fantasy XV, Luminous Productions set out to develop an open-world, narrative-driven game. However, the team's engaging main mission is hampered by a large, empty world and repetitive side quests. The player's inability to fluidly explore the massive environment interferes with this sense of scale. The regalia is definitely unique, but it's more of a great way to observe the environment than actually leave the car and run around in it. Forspoken, on the other hand, could develop in a world similar in size to the one in Final Fantasy XV. After we saw the fluid movement of Forspoken, allowing Freya to jump out from between rocks and cliffs, the environments can be described as massive and not intimidating to explore. It can be important to emphasize a small void in the environment. When Forspoken is overcrowded with cities, characters, and quests, a player's parkour will often be interrupted by things they interact with. Climbing and sprinting at breakneck speed makes exploration even more satisfying, allowing Luminous Productions to keep its environments open, with landmarks kept at a decent distance between them to encourage players to always stay on the move. Forspoken received a new trailer at the Game Awards 2021. We understand that the game is scheduled for release on May 24th. The trailer also reveals a lot of details about the world and the story, as Freya seems to have been abandoned by the forces that rule the fantasy world. One of the main features of the trailer is a dragon-like creature made of tree roots that shoots blue lasers at Freya. I can't wait to fight this thing. During Sony's State of the Game event in March, Forspoken got a new trailer showing dragon battles, a slew of incredible powers at the player's disposal, and plenty of footage of the game's expansive landscapes. An extended trailer for the game was released a few days ago, viewable in 4K Kelvin quality, and it showcases some of the incredible stunts that players can perform in the game. The combination of parkour and ultimate magic looks like an absolutely amazing ride, and I can't wait to see how it feels in action. Abandoned history. The narrative premise of Forspoken may seem familiar to some, as it concerns a character who is transported from a modern setting to a fantasy world. It is often referred to as isekai, a popular genre in Japanese video games, anime and manga. The plot revolves around someone who suddenly appears in another world. In the game's story trailer, we hear some dialogue where Freya Holland is overwhelmed with her sudden powers and mentions how she can move things with her mind and use magic. She is even more surprised by the dragon's presence, so we can expect a lot of dialogue in the game where the main character reacts to the world with the player. Isekai often revolves around themes of redemption and growth, forcing the characters to change their perspective on the value of life, giving them a new life. This is evident in the game's story trailer, as we see Frey being bullied in an alley after being punched in the stomach and falling to the ground. After talking to her cat about how they wanted to escape the city, she made her wish on a giant hotel sign. Frey wished for the air to be clear, the sky bright, and no more fighting. Suddenly, she is transported to a mysterious fantasy world full of magic and monsters. Giving Freya a sympathetic backstory makes it easier for players to immerse themselves in her escapist power fantasies. She goes from a crowded city to bullies to a powerful sorceress with the fate of the world on her shoulders. Given how common this trope is, Forspoken story should be used to its fullest potential. We can predict the theme of the game, so the weight of the story depends on the script and acting. Forward by Amy Hennig, Gary Witt, Alison Riemer, and Todd Stashwick. Hennig is best known as the creative director and writer on the original Uncharted trilogy, which put her at the helm of one of the most iconic PlayStation-exclusive franchises. Although she has done some work in the industry since then, Forspoken appears to be her first major project since then. Vita is best known for writing Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Forgotten setting. Forspoken takes place in a mystical fantasy world filled with dragons, kingdoms, and magic. Most of the environments in the footage are spacious to encourage sprinting and parkour. Additionally, we see Frey face dire bears, wolves, golems, and a mysterious boss in the throne room. One thing I noticed while analyzing the game's story trailer was that every building instance was overgrown with weeds and some buildings were destroyed. We barely see the characters in the outer environment, only two talking to Freya indoors. Perhaps the prophesied world is an afterlife full of empty cities ravaged by monsters and wars. Fans have speculated that Forspoken is an evolution of Agni's philosophy, a Final Fantasy technology demo that was released in 2012 to show the future of the series. Given that this demo is from Luminous, it makes sense to develop these ideas a bit in Forspoken, especially since the aesthetic is similar. Forsaken soundtrack. Forspoken consists of Bear McCreary and Gary Shyman. McCreary is best known for his standout performance in 2018's God of War, and thankfully he's back to work on God of War, Ragnarok. McCreary has also worked on The Walking Dead, Battlestar Galactica, Agents of S.H.I.E. LD, Outlander, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, 10 Cloverfield Drive, and more. Shyman has composed music for games such as the BioShock series, Guild Wars 2, and Middle-earth: Shadows. Given the intensity, atmosphere, and feel of BioShock's soundtrack, I'm excited to see how his music enhances Forspoken opt-out of ray tracing. As confirmed by Square Enix president Yasuke Matsuda, the prequel will include ray tracing. As translated by Jamatsu, Matsuda claims that the PS5 significantly improves the implementation of video technologies such as light reflection ray tracing technology. It's almost identical to what you see on your computer. With these special features, we are able to create incredibly accurate images. Given how other PS5 games handle ray tracing, we can expect a performance and accuracy mode, the latter of which sets the game to 30 FPS for 4 Kelvin resolution and introduces ray tracing. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart features fidelity, performance, and performance ray tracking modes, allowing players to further customize it depending on how they want to experience the game. If possible, the predecessor should implement a similar system. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and support my channel.